Today I'm going to show you how to fix stick drift permanently on controllers. This works with the Xbox One, the Xbox Series X controllers, the PS5 controllers, PS4 controllers, the Nintendo Switch Pro controllers. This works with all of them. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be installing Hall Effect joysticks, which what those are joysticks that use magnets instead of contacting potentiometers. So it's pretty easy to install, and I'm going to show you a few different ways to do it. And if you want to try it at home, I'm going to link in the description the Hall Effect sticks that you can buy. And I'm also going to be linking controllers that already have the Hall Effect upgrade in the description as well that you can go buy if you would rather just have the controller and not try to do it yourself. So you pull the controller apart. Pretty easy. You got to pull the two side panels off, which you saw me flung one earlier. Had to go find that. Take those two off and it reveals 4 screws, 2 on each leg of the paddle, and then you have one in the middle where the security sticker is. Once you get those off, you take off the plate, pop off the thumbsticks, and now we are desoldering the rumble motors to the board. Once we get that off, now we are good. We are here at the board. Now, it can be kind of tricky getting these off. The best way that I've found is make sure you add flux. You can be pretty liberal with your flux because the flux helps the solder flow, and it just makes it easier to get off. So there's a few different ways. This first way I'm showing you is with the solder sucker. You can also just use a soldering iron and a handheld solder sucker, which I show a little bit later. But you go through, you get it off. I also use a solder wick to clean up a little bit, try to get as much solder off as possible, because sometimes it can leak down in the pins and it can be kind of a pain. So the easiest way I found though is just with the heat gun, which my hand was blocking all of it. You just heat it up and it'll eventually fall out. So just keep your heat moving in circles and eventually it falls out. Then I go back through with solder wick and I clean it up. So here's the difference between the thumbsticks. On the left is the Hall Effect one, the orange one, and the potentiometer are on the right. So you pop it back in, and then we're going to solder. I like to add a little bit of solder to the tip of my iron and push up with my left hand underneath and solder the mounting pins first, just so that the joystick sits flat. And then after that, you can go through and just add solder to all of the different pins. So it's nothing too crazy. If you haven't taken off a joystick before, you know, it's just trial and error. I've burned many boards, fried them, trying to learn how to do this, but eventually you learn and then it becomes pretty easy to do this. So after you get everything soldered, go through with some IPA, just give it a nice little clean, and then you just repeat that process. Do the exact same thing, pop this one in. Once again, I like to get a little bit of solder on the tip of my iron. Add flux first, of course. Always add flux. I like to get a little bit of solder on the tip of my iron. And then I like to get the mounting pins in first as I push up underneath with my left hand to make sure that it's sitting flat and that everything goes in evenly. So it's pretty easy, pretty basic. I mean, like I said, once you do this a few times, you kind of get the hang of it. Just learning to solder, and it just takes practice. And if you burn a board, you burn a board. You're out some money, is what it is. But you learned. And it just takes a little bit of practice, and then you can get the hang of it. Honestly, if I can learn how to do this, anybody can. And it's actually really fun. I enjoy putting things back together, taking them apart, learning how they work, putting them back together. Okay, so we got the joysticks put in, but we have to calibrate these Hall Effects ones, so it's kind of a pain, so I'm going to show you guys how to do it. You're going to need some needles, some small needles, and then it's just a lot of trial and error to get this to go. We'll see how bad it's off right now, though. Yep, it's really bad. This one's not so bad. So what happens is the magnets in here get flipped upside down, and that's why this one is not even registering left or right, because the magnet is flipped upside down inside here. So I'm going to take it apart and then put it back in to where it should be. To do that, you just have to get in here, pop this back a little bit, and then you can fix the magnet. So it was the left and right one that wasn't working on the right thumbstick. So this is our right thumbstick. It can be kind of confusing when you flip it. And it's going to be this one, the left and right, the yellow one, or orange. Flip this up. I'm going to get my tweezers. And you want to be careful here so you don't bend anything. You go in here and just pop the sides out on both sides. And pull this back just a hair and get that magnet lined up. Going? Yeah. Can you see the screen too? So the right thumbstick actually is pretty perfect. We're just going to be adjusting the left one. So I need it to come down and I need it to go left just a hair. So we're going to take some needles. The left thumbstick you can actually get to the up and down anyway, just from this back side here. Oops. So I need it to go, we're going to go down first. So I need it to go down. You're going to pull the stick to the left because I need it to go down. And then there's these two little tiny holes inside that you're going to stick a pin in. And then once you put it in the pin, you're going to push up just a hair. So that one's pretty close. Now we're going to do left to right. So now that the up and down's pretty good, and what I'm looking at is these lines here, so the X and Y axis. So when I go up, see how it's getting pretty close to that X axis, which is what we want. And now we want the X axis to get closer to that Y axis, towards the middle. So I need it to go left. Same concept here. So I need it to go left. Get my other needle here. You'll be able to see it a lot better here. So I'm going to hold left, put it in one of those little holes, and then you got to do just micro adjustments. Once you put it in the hole, you're going to pull the joystick back the other way. That's honestly pretty good. So the right one's dang near perfect, but this left one's good enough. That's not going to register while we're playing. So I mean, I could move it up just a hair, but once again, these micro adjustments are kind of hard to get. But that's it. That's how you calibrate those. And then you should never really get stick drift again with these magnetic ones. They also feel really smooth compared to the joysticks with potentiometers. So after you get the thumbsticks calibrated, you can go through and solder your rumble motors back on. Make sure that you do not solder the rumble motors on until you get it calibrated, because it just makes your life way harder. Then you can put it all back together, and don't forget your headphone jack to put that back in. I've done that so many times where you put the controller back together and forgot the headphone jack. Then you can pop in your thumbsticks, put over the faceplate, and then you just zip it all back up. So the Hall Effect sticks, they're really good, and according to the makers, it should never go bad. And if for any reason you start drifting, you can always just go back in and calibrate them. So it's super cool. I really like them. They're actually really smooth. They feel a lot smoother than the regular potentiometer contacting ones. So yeah, big fan of the Hall Effect sticks. Like I said, if you want to buy the sticks and try the mod out yourself, link will be in the description. And then if you want to just buy the controllers, you can buy those from us as well. The link will also be in the description. A lot of you guys have been asking about PlayStation 5 controllers, Xbox Series X and S controllers, the Nintendo Pro controllers. So you can always check back on this video, look in the description. We're going to try to continue updating and make sure that the controllers are always stocked. I'll have all the different controllers linked. If they're not linked when you see the video, they will be eventually, so you can always just keep checking back. Even if you watch this video a few years down the road, we're going to try and keep them in stock so people can always buy them. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.